Manic Monday, how are we doing, everybody? It's your host, Sam McIntyre. We are back, new edition. I'm representing the Heartbreak Kid, Stone Cold Steve Austin edition. Let's go. Great weekend of games. This is why football's king. I'm recording this while Notre Dame game's going on. Notre Dame doesn't look good. They start off really hot in that 16-play drive. I'll give you guys my reaction to that tomorrow. Come on, Notre Dame. Pull it through. Let's beat these Ohio State Buckeyes. So, I want to talk about the two games last night because both those games to me had a lot of things to go on. But I wanted to start with the first game that I watched yesterday. And Matt Heitman, congrats to you. Your Eagles are going to the NFC Championship game. The 8th time since 2000. The Packers have 6 appearances. I believe the 7th. Niners have the 7th. Congratulations to the Eagles. But I want to start with the Rams first. So, I got to tell you with the Rams, man. I've been a Stafford fan for a long time. Just McVay, I'm a big fan of. I know years ago, I hyped the train up. I drank the Kool-Aid. He's just impressive. And he's like what Tomlin was 10 years ago. The maturity, the energy, the focus, the intensity. Doesn't matter what climate this guy plays in. Hell, he plays in 75-degree weather. This team could play in a snowstorm yesterday. I mean, let's start off with that. How badass was that yesterday? Football weather, snow, doesn't matter. They're having fun out there. I was like a little kid, and I just loved it. And just to piggyback on the Rams, McVay's just awesome. I mean, how badass of a coach he is. I mean, last year you were thinking about, well, is he going to go to Amazon Prime? We don't know what's going on there. And then this year, I wrote down some notes today. They started 1-4, and they won the NFC West. Now, some people can say, well, Sammy, they didn't win. Yeah, they were the best team, okay? They got in, and they won the division. Seattle kept it close. And Arizona was feisty, but we know what Arizona is because that Mayor Munchkin land a quarterback, okay? And Niners were a season from hell. We can argue that all day. But to start 1-4 and to win that division, come on now, that's nothing short of impressive to me. The other thing is, you reached the NFC divisional round after beating the Vikings handily on a neutral site after the wildfires. So you knew they were playing with bent-up energy and angry and pissed and tense. They had that Chucky look, and you saw it. And they took their first chances on Minnesota, and for good reason they did. And then yesterday, they were 13 points down late in the fourth quarter, and they come storming all the way back, and congrats to the Rams. I mean, tip of the cap, man. It's funny. We always talk about Miami, right? And Mike McDaniel and how much love he gets. We get it. But hasn't won dick yet. And his team does not want to play in that cold. And what I appreciate about Sean McVay is this: he's got warm weather team, but you build players that can play in elements like that yesterday. And Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and these guys, tough guys, you play it yesterday. And Stafford, we can admit, his whole career, he's played in the Dome, went to Georgia, from Texas, Florida. Nah, doesn't matter. When you got an arm like his, you can sling that pill any way you want to, baby. Because Josh Allen showed it yesterday. I've seen Brett Favre doing it in the cold. I've seen Aaron Rodgers throw darts in that weather. When you have a huge arm, I've seen this my whole life with quarterbacks. Go back to Marino, Elway, Favre, Rodgers, Allen, Mahomes. All these guys can fit that ball in the snow. When you got a big-time arm like that, that's the advantage like a Stafford has. Because yesterday you're watching Jalen Hurts' ball, bleh, and Matt Stafford's ball, shoom, like a seed, throwing lasers yesterday. And he wishes he could have a few back. No doubt about it. And Kyron Williams is going to be kicking himself because he fumbled that ball, and lucky for them, he recovered it at the yard line it was at. So, congrats to the Rams yesterday. I tipped my cap to them. Philadelphia, they're just a great team, and I'll get to them in a second. But to recap that game, tip of the hat to the Rams. They're balling yesterday, and I just am so impressed with them. Now, the Rams going into the interesting offseason. Will Stafford come back? There's some reports today that he's going to contemplate his retirement. I don't know. My guess is I think he's got 2 more years left, but we don't know. We'll see what happens. So I want to touch on the Eagles. I know, Matt Heitman, you're happy today. And Philly fans, you should be. But this team, to me, they're elite. But I just, why are they like this? Why can't, with Sirianni, I can't trust him. I just cannot. In the biggest spots, I don't need to go anymore into Sirianni. I feel like I'm beating this thing like a dead horse. Now, he's got so much talent, and Howie Roseman's got his fingerprints all over this. He built through the trenches. I respect everything about the Philly organization. But Sirianni, I'm not a fan of. Their fan base drives me crazy. They're nuts. They're intense. They're passionate. I'm all for that. They have the jet stream of anger, man. But Jalen Hurts is not it, man. Now, listen, I know Jalen's going to come out and say, I just want to win, and I get it. Coach's son, Alabama, Nick Saban. I get all that. But, man, the Eagles are just a huge question mark because they're passing game. And I look at them and I go, if you plop another quarterback into this situation, they'd be better to me. You put a Josh Allen, you put somebody like that. Hell, you know what? I'll throw a name out. Geno Smith put him in this motherfucker. I guarantee you, because Geno can throw that ball. I'm just throwing an idea out. I'm not saying that they're going to get Geno Smith. That's not what I'm saying. But I just feel like when I watch Philly, they'd be just better if they had a guy that could just throw the ball decently. Now, Geno Smith is not the athlete that Jalen Hurts is, obviously not. But I'm just throwing it from a standpoint of throw from the pocket. Geno can throw darts, man. I may not have loved Geno my whole life, but he's got something. He's got a whip of an arm. He's got some talent. I'm just saying, like, I'm watching that game. And then the ball that Jalen threw, the hospital ball. What the fuck are you doing? But again, Saquon Barkley, the one guy, he saved this team. If you really think about it. And listen, I'm all for guys, great players like that, deserving great opportunities. Now, when you get drafted, it's well known, you don't control where you go to, team-wise. You don't. But I was happy that Saquon Barkley got to put in a great situation with that team. And listen, the Giants are just a mess. I'm not going to dive into them. Although I do like Dayball a lot. The one thing I appreciate about Saquon is he's a selfless, non-selfish guy in a selfish league, which I can admit we all are in this generation, day and age. And it's just nice to see. And he's a great kid. I was hearing today, I was driving around, and I was coming home tonight. And I know Coward brought this up, like, who's the best running back I've ever seen? One of them. He's getting there in my list. He's on that short list of running backs that are really, really good. Saquon's in there. And listen, Jalen Carter. That guy is so disruptive, and listen, there's a reason why. I know teams that liked him a lot. He was the best player in that draft. No questions asked. It's crazy to look back. 2 years later, he's the best player on the Eagles. On offense, Saquon. Defense, Jalen Carter. The guy he's unblockable. He's Aaron Donald, Chris Jones light. So, listen, man, if you can get that out of him, and listen, I know that teams, speaking of Jalen Carter, that they didn't want to take him because of all the baggage off the field, which I totally get. It was scared me too. But I appreciate Philadelphia going, okay, we got guys that have been there, done that with him in college, and high character guys, Georgia, Bama, those guys. So no bullshit with Kirby or Nick Saban. And you just got to appreciate his talent because you can't block him. And the Philadelphia, the way they built this team, the offensive and defensive lines, that's football. Thank you. You build it through trench play. Not with the speed, not like the Bears mistakenly, or the Dolphins, or the Bengals. They did it the right way. So hats off to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to an NFC Championship game. The Rams, they had a resurgence this year. They were gritty. They were tough. They had to face all that adversity with the fires and all that shit going down. Much respect to the Rams. Sean McVay, tip of the cap. Stafford, tip of the cap. One of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, underrated. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. So the other game I wanted to touch on was kind of like my t-shirt, Heartbreak Kid, Stone Cold, one of the big wrestling matches back in the day. It felt like that yesterday in Buffalo in the snow. And early on in that game, I went, uh-oh, here we go. This feels like the last game against the Bills had in the playoffs. They started slow. They got behind. And then Lamar started just doing stupid shit. And I went, what are you doing? And listen, I like Lamar a lot. But this Ravens team, let's be honest, Max Lawson, you're feeling the pain today. I know you are, brother. But you shouldn't have lost to Cleveland. You shouldn't have lost to my Raiders. You had a lot of games this year, Baltimore. You had, and you blew it. You can't blame this on anybody else but yourself. And I don't know what's going on with this Ravens offense. Why are you not running the ball? I mean, Mark Andrews feels like shit today. I would too. But you know what? You got to move on. And it's hard for me to do if I was in his shoes. But it's just Baltimore continuously does this. And I don't understand why they just can't run the football. You have Derek fucking Henry, for Christ's sake. And you're throwing? What are we doing? See, I was thinking of this last night as I'm watching that game with my dad and my brother. You know, we always talk about player choking. How about we put a category of coaches blowing it? Because Todd Monk in the last 2 years has done this in the biggest of games. The AFC Championship game last year at home, in this game. Because you have to run the football. You have like a freight train back there and running back. With the quarterback, who's one of the best runners of all time by Michael Vick that I've ever seen. So, the Ravens kill me. And they did this to themselves. Listen, you won the division. Congrats. And Ravens are going to be fine. Okay? This whole narrative about Lamar's never going to win the big one. Okay. Let's pipe down a little bit. I got some facts to throw this at you. Peyton Manning, his first 7-8 games in the playoffs was 3-5. Okay? He struggled. And he ran into Brady and he ran into Belichick. Okay. Lamar's running into Josh Allen and he's running into Patrick Mahomes. And I think he played well enough yesterday to win that football game. Started off kind of reckless, got the touchdown and then the kind of reckless shit. But he got settled down. And this is what Lamar does. And I love Lamar in the sense that he tries and gets better. He's a great kid. They love him in Baltimore. That all I get. But I don't know if you're ever going to win with him. I don't, because I think you can get to the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. I really do. But until then, I think Baltimore's destined to just hit it. And they're going to have some decisions to make in the offseason. Mark Andrews, you got to restructure that contract. So a lot of stuff to get to with the Ravens, but they're going to be fine. It's a tough loss to swallow, but they're going to be okay. They're coming back with a vengeance. I wouldn't be mad if I'm a Raven fan. You just next year got to win those games against the Raiders at home that you had. You got to win those games against Cleveland that you had. So you got to win those kind of games that you're supposed to expect it to win. But they're going to be okay. They got to move on, but they're still going to have Lamar as long as they got that Sipashadi and Eric DeCosta running shit with Baltimore. They're going to be in this mix year in, year out. So I want to touch on Buffalo. I thought it was a really cool moment yesterday with Josh Allen, who I've said is Brett Favre with more mobility. I thought it was pretty cool yesterday. He went up to Lamar after the game. Shows a lot of class to me. The respect factor these guys have. And I just think it's cool in this day and age. We're not a lot of people do that with the quarterbacks. But it was cool. I think the NFL's in good hands in terms of that. With obviously Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, and so on and so forth. But Buffalo, to me, I think they can win the Super Bowl. I really do. At this moment, man, I have a lot of confidence they could go into Kansas City next week and win. I really do. I really do. They got a quarterback and go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, and his name's Josh Allen. Brett Favre light. With more mobility. So, I believe in Josh Allen. I believe in this Buffalo team. McDermott drives me crazy at times. I keep bringing up the fact, and my dad got on me last night. Well, Sam, it happened. A couple years ago. Stuff like that kind of hits with me. But they've responded well. They've reconstructed this roster within a year. Got rid of Stephon Diggs. Got rid of some baggage guys. And listen, it works, man. And Cam Coleman's a stud. And They got ballers everywhere. Defensively, they're really solid. And their offense did not have a turnover yesterday. One penalty all game. Flawless. Looked like the Patriots light yesterday. Efficient, quick rhythm, run game. And listen, here comes Kansas City. Bring it on, bitch. I'm ready. So the AFC Championship game is set. The NFC Championship game is set. Commanders, Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, rematch again. So I cannot wait for this weekend. And by the way, it's my birthday this weekend. And payday. Can I get a hell yeah, brother? You guys sure can. And that's all I got for tonight. On a manic Monday, I'll give you guys my post-game reaction tomorrow to the Notre Dame game, Ohio State. And then also some coaching news going down. Ben Johnson's coaching the Bears. I'll give you guys my reaction to that tomorrow. A little iffy, but I'll give you guys my reaction to that tomorrow. Always hit the like, subscribe, share button. Adios. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.